In 30 seconds. What's going on, fam? How y'all doing? I finally got my stand up where I don't gotta hold the phone all day. What's going on, family? What's up? What's up? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk. 1 minute and 30 seconds. 1 minute and 30 seconds. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk 1 minute and 30 seconds. 1 minute and 30 seconds. We're gonna talk, family. How y'all doing? What's going on? How y'all doing? How y'all feeling? Oh man, we're gonna talk. All right, gotta put this up. What's good, family? How y'all doing? What's going on? What's going on, family? What y'all been up to? Hey, family, what's up? We're gonna talk. Give me like 15 seconds. At 1 minute, 30 seconds, we're gonna talk. One minute and 30 seconds, family. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk. 1 minute and 30 seconds. All right, let's get started. Let's get started. Put this up. All right. Gotta talk today. We gotta talk. Look, family. I'm gonna say it like this, right? What's good? What's good? So we're gonna start out by saying this, right? So, a few people want to ask, like, why sovereigns or quote unquote sovereign citizens are on the government watch list. Now, the reason why you will see people who proclaim it to be sovereign, or you will see these videos, or they're put on the FBI website, be aware for sovereign citizens, because these are Americans that's figuring out that the system is rigged. They figuring out all of the bullshit that goes along with everything. The goal of the United States Federal Corporation is to eradicate and eliminate and reinterpret the United States Constitution from its original origin, right? So many amendments has been changed over, including the Fourth Amendment. So you will see the Fourth Amendment where a police must have probable cause that a crime actually existed. Like you actually shot someone in the head and they pulled you over and they search your vehicle. Or if you robbed a bank, they see you got into the car and you drove off and they can stop you. Now they have actual probable cause to search the vehicle. That is what probable cause mean. But since the Supreme Court is constantly reinterpreting the Constitution, now they saying, oh, if they smell marijuana, they have probable cause to search the car. Or if you shaking, they got probable cause to search the car. Or if you looking around, you looking scared, they have probable cause to search the car. Many of these constitutional amendments is constantly being reinterpreted by the Supreme Court purposely by Congress due to the fact that they trying to eradicate the United States Constitution, even the right to travel. I see a lot of trolls on this keep saying, oh, well, show me a case law where you have the right to travel. It's in the United States Constitution. When you're dealing with when a person may travel on the highways and everything, whether using, because what would be the modern day horse? The car. So, of course, back in those times, it's not saying if you have an SUV, you can travel, of course. But when you put it in layman's terms, when you're dealing with the person's ability to travel, is dealing with getting to point A to point B. Whether you're using a go-kart, a horse, a cow, a car, does not matter. You still got the constitutional right to travel. The problem is when you're dealing with, I want to say what, Article 8, Clause 8 of the Constitution, when dealing with Commerce Clause. So the Congress have transitioned the Commerce Clause into the criminal aspects of things. So instead of them charging you under, like, let's just say if you actually find a case where it involves an injured party, that's when you will actually be charged with a crime and everything. But since everybody's under the Commerce Clause, they charging us commercially. So when people be like, oh, so how can they make an arrest? Because due to the fact that many people have contracts with the state, we've given up our constitutional rights and our ability to have to have all of our constitutional rights secured. And so in many circumstances, we subject ourselves to that jurisdiction. Because remember, the United States of America doesn't have any courts, doesn't have any jails. So who took over that? The United States, the federal United States. So I remember going to court the judge asked me, he said, "Are you a United States citizen?" I told the judge, I'm not a federal United States citizen. And at that point, the court can never classify me as a sovereign citizen because I never claimed to be a sovereign citizen. Even by me making these videos, I never said that I was a sovereign citizen because there's no such thing as a sovereign citizen. These are actual Americans who just enforcing their constitutional rights that's been eradicated by Congress, politicians, liberals, LGBTQ, and etc. And so that's one of the main things that I wanted to cover because I know we get a lot of backlash. You have all these videos come out and people show us getting arrested, but the whole time while we making a mockery out of these situations or while we laughing at these circumstances, we got to also understand, okay, why are the police attacking them? What are they doing? What crime have they committed? You get what I'm saying? So we not open to the fact that they own to something. They studying something, and a lot of statutes and codes that's been in place within the states. It's kind of like it's contradicting the Constitution. That's why you have something called the Supremacy Clause. The Supremacy Clause says if any state or federal statute or federal code contravene, which would mean conflict or goes against the United States Constitution, consider it null and void. That's why many different federal or state case laws get motioned up to the Supreme Court and they ask the Supreme Court, hey, is this constitutional? But if you didn't know the full constitutionality of something, then why are we deeming these state statutes and codes as necessary? So that's my whole take on the whole thing. Yeah, they took down this entire country. And I'm glad we got one more case law that came out, United States versus Bulock. If you were a convicted felon, you got the right to bear arms because remember, the judge stated in his opinion, he basically looked at the landmark on when was the Second Amendment was established in it was 1794 or something like that, right? So those was the time when the Articles of Amendments and the United States of America Constitution was getting in place. And so he said when the United States federal government banned a felon being in possession of a firearm, that was what, 1967? So 1967 ban has no effect on the 1700 implementation of the Second Amendment. So basically he looked at it like, hey, I'm gonna have to deem this as unconstitutional because remember, the Supreme Court in the case where New York versus Bruin, right, was talking about the Second Amendment, right? Like, is the Second Amendment is appropriate? So when they looked at the landmark and they look at the historic features of the historic laws and structure on how the Second Amendment was in place, they basically deemed it where you couldn't stop a New Yorker from bearing arms. And so when they took that decision, New York versus Bruin, they also had the opinion on can the felon possess a firearm. Now, this the problem. The judge, after he dismissed the case for the felon being in possession of a firearm, he also said that the United States District Court, not the United States, the United States attorney, right? The United States attorney, which will be like the state's attorney, the prosecutor, may still prosecute cases under 922G. But if these case laws are argued in court, it has substance because remember, the United States attorneys could have motioned or appealed that case over to the United States Courts of Appeals, but the United States Courts of Appeals never accepted it. They never deemed it as valid to reverse it. So that case law still stands. And remind you, the Supremacy Clause states federal law has more power than state law. And the United States Constitution has more power than federal law, right? So we're going to just deal with federal law, right? Which would be like the federal courts. You can use that state case law in a motion to dismiss your case in any court. Now, you could take it to the state court. Now, if the state court can't answer to that, that's when you will file a motion to dismiss under challenging subject matter jurisdiction because they are unable to answer certain constitutional questions. Because remember, the state court has limited jurisdiction. The federal courts have general jurisdiction, and you got the Supreme Court has unlimited jurisdiction. So you're dealing with different jurisdiction of courts, and certain constitutional issues cannot be addressed in the state court because they don't have the legal capacity, they don't have the constitutional capacity, or nothing. So you want to make sure that these arguments is put in place when you go to court and argue. Now, in my case, it's a violation of my Fourth Amendment. But if they don't accept that Fourth Amendment argument, then I can bring the case for New York versus Bruin with also the United States versus Bulock. And then you take that with it. You get what I'm saying? And so it worked just like that. And remind you, the United States Courts of Appeal never undid that judgment. So that judgment still sits to this day. And so whoever is a convicted felon got the right to fight that. Whoever is a convicted felon got the right to go about that. They got a right to fight their case under those grounds. We have to use a different term as referred to natural laws, statutes. Correct. It says on our passport, we're free to travel by land and sea. Understandable, but you got to understand that many state courts reinterpret that to their own understanding. And that's why it's very important not to have contracts with the state. That's why it's very important to set your kids up free. So when your kids, babies all the way up, if they don't have a social security number and you never get, even if they got a social security number, if you never contracted them with the state, they never had a driver's license or state ID ever in life, then they free, because all they have to do is protect their rights at all times. So if they get to the point where they're 18 years old and they traveling freely in their private conveyance, they wouldn't have those issues like we have today. Because remember, we set ourselves up in commerce unknowingly, because they didn't say on the driver's license we are subjected to the state statutes and state codes. They never said that. But entirely we are, because we deemed ourselves to be what? Residents of the state. And by us claiming that we are residents of the state, that puts us under the state statutory jurisdiction. You know, that put us under state statutes and the state jurisdiction. So, you know, that's why it's very important to understand case law, to understand the separation of powers. That's why it's important to know this type of stuff, because when it's time to go in, you got to battle. It's days that, you know, sovereigns might not be up for it, but we got to battle. Because it's not about, this is what people keep getting wrong, right? They keep thinking we are traveling just to do it. No, we traveling to send a message. We traveling to enforce our rights. When you're dealing with a person enforcing rights, this is constitutional. So we have to uphold to those rights. We have to uphold to those structures. You get what I'm saying? So that's how it works entirely. That's how it works. But for the most part, family, that's how you do it, you know? That's how you do it. You know, and most state courts not going to adhere to it. That's why I'm going to show you guys how to do a notice of removal to federal court under 1455. You can file under federal rules of civil procedure, and you can fill out a form. You can get a notice of removal only if your case has a federal statute to it. So if you did, let's just say if you caught a felony, that felony they have to have subject matter jurisdiction over that particular felony. So if you caught an armed robbery case and you have a federal statute that have that code, then you got your rights to do a notice of removal. And of course, an attorney not going to do a notice of removal for you, because an attorney does not work for the best interest of the person. An attorney is just like a brainwashed police officer, the same way. They brainwashed as well. The attorneys don't know about the Constitution. The attorneys don't care about the Constitution. The attorneys only dealing with statutes and statutes only. The attorneys does not have the unlimited ability to study outside of what they already been taught and told and get trained like a beaten dog in order to act off a certain way in the courtroom. That's why it's very important to study law yourself. Study case law. Study how to write up a motion. Study how to do a notice of removal if state court is acting up. Notice how to send your courts. Learn how to file inside of an appeals court. Understand how to do an appeal process if you ever been convicted. Understand not to never waive your rights. Understand your full unlimited legal ability to fight any case. Just understand it. Just start learning this stuff. Yep. It's very important to start learning this stuff. You know, put everything in perspective. You know, just study, y'all. That's the main thing you want to do. You want to study. You know, I don't want nobody out here just doing anything. I want you to study it, learn it, but you gotta have a passion for it. That's one thing that I'm saying. Like when it comes to like exercising your rights, some people want to do it, but they might lack that passion. And by lacking that passion, you might not be well educated to study certain things. Like I say, I have a passion for it because I had a purpose of being sovereign. I didn't become sovereign because I wanted to. I didn't become sovereign because it felt good or it just looked nice. I became sovereign because of the circumstances of my personal life. And it wasn't necessarily me being sovereign. It was me exercising my constitutional rights. So when people say we sovereign, but we are reciting a United States of America Constitution, that automatically contradicts any person argument. We are sovereign citizens, right? So we claim to be from a whole nother country. But when we go to court, we are enforcing the United States Constitution. And when they say, oh, you saying state laws doesn't apply to you? No, state statutes contradicts the United States Constitution. And I'm looking at certain constitutional laws, statutes, and also Supreme Court case law that goes against the statutes that was implemented by the state. So the state legislation constantly enacting laws, but they never did a constitutional verification check. Okay, if I just go to someone's car and just magically search their vehicle, what is that? That's a violation of their Fourth Amendment right. But you will have the state legislation just constantly say, police can come in your car because they want to stop you, just want to look. No. Fully examine the statute that's being passed to see if there's any constitutional errors, because if it is, you guys are subjecting yourselves to a major lawsuit. But that's why it's very important to put them lawsuits out. That's why it's very important to sue. But you don't sue just when you jammed up. You sue even at a minor stop. You sue. You take them to the federal district court. Why do you want to sue on a federal level over the state level? Because when you sue on a federal level, you got to understand, y'all, the federal courts, you have way more leeway with way more arguments and way more defense than anyone else. So when you're on the state level, you're pretty much like a slave, because it's like it's so limitation, it's biased and everything like that. When you dealing with the federal courts, you got unlimited. So if you want to go ahead and do it as a secure party creditor, you can. If you want to do it as a national, you can, But it's twofold. Understand what type of case are you fighting. Are you fighting a commercial crime, or are you fighting a constitutional violation crime? So say, for instance, you was caught with a pistol as a felon, you have constitutional remedy. You fought a bank fraud case or an IRS case, you have remedy while dealing as a secure party creditor. You get what I'm saying? So it depends on what type of case you fought. I wouldn't use the Constitution in the case where they assume or said that I defrauded the the IRS. So let's just say, what's the dude's name again? Christopher Hauser, right? So right now they try to get him on a tax fraud case. This would be the best time to use your secure party methods. This would be the best time to use your UCCs. This would be the best time to use, whatever, you guys use, right? Now, in my case, I would be using the Second Amendment. I wouldn't be using the same thing. It'd be two different methods. Okay, he said I got court tomorrow going 40 into 30. I rescinded my signature 30 days ago. What type of case? Oh, you going traffic case? You showed up, so there's nothing you can do. Like I say, if you was on the do not detain list, right? I tell a lot of people this, by being on the do not detain list, back after you surrender your driver's license and you get issued a ticket, you never show up. That's what I did. I never showed up. Nothing happened. No warrants got issued or nothing. No warrants got issued at all. Because by me not signing the signature, I never gave them knowledge that I received a ticket. And on top of that, the file is closed. So they're not going to put a warrant on it. They're not going to put a warrant on it. So, yeah. You want to be careful. You want to be very, very careful, family. So that's how I usually be. Yep. Yep. I saw the video, but you saying the car's in my name now, I have to make payments. I don't know, expound on a little bit more. I'm studying till my brain pops off. The only thing that doesn't sit right with me is all the registering. It feel like they making new slave numbers. Yes, they are. Every time you register your vehicle, it's like setting up a corporation or LLC. That's what it is. You set up a corporation. You set up a corporation. Now, the only way I would register my cars if I was running a fleet business. So when I grabbed that Lamborghini, when I rented out for Toro, yeah, those cars gonna be registered, but they're gonna be registered under the business. It's not gonna be registered under my name. So I register under the business. So I'm doing commerce. But as far as me personally, like, no, I'm not registering my car personally. But as far as like the corporation, I can. But another way that you guys can move around without being harassed is drive around with dealer's plates. My friend, he got dealer plates. And so he don't ever get harassed by the police. Anytime the police run him, it just run up as a dealer and they leave him alone. Because remember, dealer plates, you can put them on any car you want. You don't have to put them on a particular car. All you got to do is show, all you got to do is put it on your car or a friend's car or something like that. And it can protect you from repossessions and it can protect you from being pulled over. Now, one thing I would say, don't go past a certain like light or something like that, going like over 100 miles an hour. So if they flash it, they'll be able to track it down. Like far as your dealer's tag. So if they track your dealer's tag down, they can what they can do, they can write you a ticket. But they won't write you a ticket. They'll write the if you're a dealer, like your mailbox, they're gonna send you tickets in the mail. So be careful with that. How do you know whether or not you're on a do not detain list? Remember, I had the officer running the information and had him pull it up. Listen, man, I wish, like, I'm still looking for that video. I got the officer running, like, all of our information, and he showed us me being on a do not detain list. I still got that video recording. I never showed the video of it. I got the audio showed in a picture, but I never showed the video because that's a lot of people's personal information that it'll end up being shown because a lot of students were sending me their passports, and I was having him run the information. So I can't just show y'all the entire video. I need somebody to at least edit it out just so you guys can get that video. And I also got the other video. Now, this video is pretty much showing my students, like, so the ones who wasn't on the do not detain list, a passport just like a state ID. So when they ran their information, all the information came up. I seen a criminal background popped up. It showed them if they had a warrant. It also showed them if they was on, not child support, what's that? I have a restraining order. Even I seen their address, everything, their state ID number, their driver's license number. And that's what happens when the Department of State send your passport through general processing. So when they send it through general processing, they pretty much use your driver's license number and get your Secretary of State records and they put it through. So that means they put you as a citizen. So by you saying, no, you're not a citizen, all that stuff still gonna pop up anyway. That happens on a lot of occasions, depending on what state you live in, what they send it to. Most people I know, if you live in the South, if you live in Texas, you live in Florida, we never had that issue. All of my students who lived in the South barely had that issue. All the students that live up there had that issue. Chicago had that issue. Philadelphia had that issue. New York had that issue. California had that issue. Even though that's the South, but it's not the South, not a conservative state, so they had that issue. Maine, North Carolina, they had that issue. I had a lot of students who had that issue. And it wasn't me. All the information got put down the same. They put all the information the same, nothing different. It just depending on what Department of State they sent it to. And whatever processor went through and seen that file, they automatically put them general processing. They got a state ID number and process it through. So when I renew my passport, I got to book in a card. So I might renew the card first. So when I renew the card, I'm gonna show the book as ID. When I renew the book, I'm gonna show the card as the ID. I don't have a Secretary of State driver's license, so there's nothing to link. You get what I'm saying? And when they ask me for my mailing address, I'm telling them my P.O. box. That's why it's good to have a P.O. box. So you wanna make sure you do that as well. So with my kids, they don't have socials. So they got a birth certificate, but not a social. So all I gotta do is when they become 17, when they go get not driver's license, but when they renew their passport, when they pass 18, they can renew it with that same passport and nothing will be linked. Nothing, no driver's license, no state driver's license, nothing. So my kids will be able to travel, And if they choose, like I say, this is something that I fight for. But I am gonna be honest. If my kids personally didn't want to be sovereign, they say, "Hey, I want a driver's license," that would be up to them. But I'm not gonna be the one that ruined anything for you. I'm gonna say, I can like you. I have to allow you to like wreck your own self up. I'm not gonna do it for you. You know how some people be like, "Man, my parents signed me up for a social security number. My parents sold my soul. They vaccinated me as a 3-year-old toddler." But no. When you get grown and you decide to do those things yourself, that would be up to you. That would be up to you. But right now, you can say that, "Oh, daddy signed your waiver over and made sure you got a social security card." I ain't made sure none of that. So when you get older, if you decide to do that with your family, that would be your decision. You get what I'm saying? So, that's how it is. Yep. Yep. So when my kids get to like 18, that's when they can apply for a passport. If they apply for a driver's license, that's on them. If they get a if they do anything in the public, that would be on them. But I made sure that they wasn't no slaves, and they can do it anytime. So my kids, even though your kids don't have a social, they can apply for one anytime. It will come in 2 weeks, literally. So they can be 21 and say, "Hey, I want a social." They can be 23 and say, "Hey, I want a social." Or they can go their entire life without one. It's easy to get one. It's easy to get a social. They got a birth certificate. So all they got to do is fill out the SS4 form, send it in, and they come back with a social. But I don't think they'll do nothing like that. I don't know. But, so how do I get rid of a social? You can't. It's issue forever. I know a lot of people came out with those theories. They was like, "No, my social security is gone." You still got it. You can't cancel a social. Now, this is what you can do. You can cancel a social within 30 days after it's issued. Now, that's factual. So say if you had a social, right, and let me explain. Let's just say if you had a social security number, right, and let's just say you had this number, and they issued it, right? Say if my kids, if they become 18, they got a social. Within 30 days, they can call the Social Security Administration to cancel it. Once they cancel it, they still will be good. You get what I'm saying? But if you had it for 20 years, no, you can't cancel it. I talked to them personally, but don't get me wrong. There's always information out there that can disprove what I'm saying, right? But from what I know and what I understand, you can't cancel it. But if people out there that can, hit me up. Like, "Hey, man, that was truly wrong what you said. You can cancel it. This how you do it. I did it. Here go my confirmation paperwork," and I'll put them on live with me to show you guys how to do it. The passport card show you your stars, but not the book, because the book doesn't come with stars. If that's what you're asking, peace God, I have 14 inquiries on my Experian account. Is it possible to delete these instantly? Experian is one of the most easiest credit bureaus to delete from, but they kind of like give you a courtesy at first, but after a lot of times, no. But one time, yeah. So you can delete all your inquiries, because I got a whole lot of inquiries I need to get deleted. So I'm right with you. I'm right with you, man. I'm right with you, fam. So, I got a lot of inquiries I need to get off my report and everything. So, hold on, fam. But yeah, family. So, yeah. Okay, peace, God. Yeah. It worked just like that. Can I use a UPS as a mailing address? Yes, you can. Yep, you can. How do you get rid of resisting arresting? You gotta challenge it. You gotta challenge the arrest. What was the purpose of the arrest? What was the intent of the arrest? What was going on? And usually it's the officer testimony that is gonna determine if what he's saying is 100% truthful. If not, you eat him up. Just like that, you eat him up. What's your nationality? I'm a Hebrew Israelite. Nationally speaking, I'm a Hebrew Israelite. But as far as politically, I'm American national. But like my origin, I'm a Hebrew. When you say one time, are you saying they would delete all 14 inquiries? Yeah, you can get all 14 inquiries deleted in usually like in 72 hours. So you will call them and they'll do it fast. If you say identity theft, like that's one thing about Experian, they will get rid of all of that stuff if you say, "Hey, this is not accurate," and I filed a police report. You just can't keep doing it. That's why I keep telling you guys want to really learn about checking your credit criteria. You don't want to be thirsty for credit. If you got to, listen, once you take on debt, once you build up your profile fully and substantially, you will not have these issues, fam. You're not going to have these issues, I promise you. The only reason why you might come across credit issues is because you thirsty, you did it prematurely, it wasn't well thought out. You got to take your time when you're building up your profile. You just can't move fast. You want to take your time. And by taking your time, you might get the most remedy from it. Oh, man, I want to get something, fam. But yeah, fam. So, because I asked why he stopped me and why he was arresting me. Okay. But, they ain't going to tell me everything. Usually, you look at the discovery, and then after you look at the discovery, you also look at your criminal complaint. When you look at those two, you also look at the evidence. Far as, I know what they say hearsay. Hearsay doesn't really hold. Look at the body cam footage and also look at the tension. But that's why it's very important to know your own case as well. An attorney only looking at the discovery and the police complaint. There's additional things that an officer can be cross-examining on, but the attorney have no idea of it. That's why the person who they represented is like, they don't have an idea what's going on. They just at court, the attorney arguing for them, the other attorney, prosecution is arguing, but entirely, they don't know what questions to ask them, everything. Because it could be the smallest thing. It could be something where the officer step on your shoe, but that's not in the discovery. It could be something where the officer whispered to the other officer about searching. You get what I'm saying? But guess what? Those might not be in the discovery. So that's why it's very important to learn how to represent yourself, because when you going through cross-examination, like in my case, when I went through the cross-examination, I asked the officer over 60-something questions. I asked him questions that was not on the discovery, was not on the police report, nothing. And some of the questions that wasn't on the police report is you went from checking the VIN to searching the vehicle. So you didn't immediately check the VIN, you searched the car immediately, right? After informing the person that you wanted to check the VIN. So pretty much that's overstepping on the search. So you didn't do it you did it with the intention of fishing for more evidence, which is a violation of the person's constitutional rights. You get what I'm saying? So by not paying attention to everything and not knowing, and you not articulating the circumstances, and you allowing a member of the bar association to represent you, and by not looking at that, they're gonna eat you up at trial. And that's why it's very important to know this, fam. And if you don't feel comfortable, make sure that you remember everything. I don't know if you guys get drunk or get high. You have to remember everything that's involving your case, because if you can ask the lawyer, you need to include these questions as well, because these are the most important things. Now, if you're ignoring your questions, get you another attorney. Have someone that's working for you 100%. You got to have somebody. Mark, what's up, bro? You got to have somebody that's working for your best interest at 100%. You can't just have nobody who just, oh, this is another case. Well, did you see my victim? Did you see my client? Did my client do anything weird to you? Okay. Guilty. Like, really? Like, you didn't even put forth effort. So make sure that you know what happened in the situation, know how many officers was involved. Make sure you know all the officers' name. Make sure you see everything. Take a picture of it in your mind. Take a picture of everything, because there's additional questions that's not in the discovery. Because remember, who is in control of the discovery? The prosecution and the arresting officer. Who's in control of the complaint? The arresting officer. So they are painting their narrative. So when they paint their narrative, guess who's coming? The attorney, right? The attorney only see their narrative, because they only going off the discovery, and they also is going off of the police complaint. So by them looking at the police complaint and they looking at the discovery, they'll tell you, oh man, there's no hope for this case. Like my attorney, when I fought my case back then, he was like, no, he said, you have no defense. There's nothing I can do. It's over, man. I said, look, we got this. We're going to win. I'm going to show you something. And so when I went to court and start talking about the Second Amendment stuff, I twist the whole narrative around to my best interest and won. So that's one thing you got to know. You got to know what happened. You have to know everything, every detail from everybody who was there. How long was you followed? How long? You got to know everything, fam. You got to understand everything about your case. What is the best way to get inquiries off to other accounts? I'm gonna do a credit live soon, family. I might do one tomorrow or tonight. You know, I might come back on this mud and do another one for credit. I ain't gonna really tap into the credit as much, but I already have a passport as a U.S. citizen. Do I choose a new passport book or card for the passport? Hold on. Yeah, you have to get another one because all of your personal information is linked to it. Had to let that process for a minute, but yeah, you got to get another one. You're welcome, family. Yeah, family. So, you know, you wanna make sure that you understand everything that happens. You wanna understand everything that's going on. If not, they're gonna eat your attorney up. Like I say, they are the ones that's creating the narrative, not you. But you have to be the one that goes against that narrative because you gotta understand, all cases rely totally on the witness, which will be the arresting officer most of the time, not the person. Because that's on, if you got an injured party, like you shot someone, then yeah, they got to rely on that person who was there. But if you find a case like a possession case or aggravated fleeing and eluding that only deals with the officer, it's their testimony against yours. But what can strengthen your testimony is if you notice or observe certain factors of what happened. And by you observing certain things things that happens, that's when you can pretty much switch it around to your best interest. Hey family, what's going on? Amazon 2, yes, Amazon 2 is coming out. Amazon 2 is coming out, but it's a lot, y'all. You know, Amazon 2 coming out soon. And I'm finishing up credit criteria. Now those who already went to the Zoom, you getting credit criteria for free. But those who want it, it's gonna cost something. Because this is not my Zoom recording. This is actually my private tutorial, because at first I was gonna make it a Zoom, but I'm like, nope, I wanna make it a private tutorial because I wanna go in without any interruptions. Because when I go into this, I'm gonna be able to monitor a credit report, a full credit profile, and I'm gonna show you how to thoroughly analyze it. And when you analyze it, I'm also gonna show you what banks that I go to. Because it's a lot of banks, y'all, it's a lot. But you know, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah, family, I'm out. Peace and love to everybody. I'm gone. If anybody want to get in contact with me, don't hesitate. My phone number is 224-463-1848. Again, my phone number is 224-463-1848. One more time. It is 224-463-1848. I'm out. Peace and love, everybody. Enjoy y'all evening.